Do you ever think about that? One film by a legendary director that just seems completely out of left field?
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe a major actor in a role that, well, somehow just slipped under the radar despite being great.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing today, taking a deep dive into Clint Eastwood's 2010 film, Hereafter.
Starring Matt Damon.
It would really, really stands out in Eastwood's filmography, doesn't it? Because it jumps headfirst into the fantasy genre.
It totally does.
Why?
Which is, a big shift from the westerns, the dramas, the thrillers we usually think of with him.
Right. So this deep dive, it's based on some recent looks at the film, sort of exploring why people are starting to call it an underrated hidden gem.
Even though, yeah, it got kind of a mixed reaction when it first came out.
Mm-hmm. So our mission really is to unpack the interesting ideas and also the surprising controversies around this movie. It's genuinely thought-provoking stuff about death, the afterlife.
Definitely. And when you think about Clint Eastwood's career, I mean, it's immense. He started directing way back in 71.
Wow, 71.
Yeah, like 40 feature films. His latest, Juror #2, just came out in 2024. And the range is huge, Unforgiven, $1 Million Baby.
Incredible range. And that's precisely why Hereafter feels like such an outlier.
It really is. This fantasy disaster drama tag it gets.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like maybe his only real dive into that kind of supernatural territory.
It's just not what you expect, which is part of the fascination, I think.
Totally. It premiered at the Toronto Film Festival in 2010, then had a limited North American release that October.
And it made money, right? Box office-wise.
It did, yeah. It was profitable.
Yeah.
But the reviews were, well, all over the place. Mixed.
And maybe because of that, it just sort of got forgotten, lost in his huge filmography, and Damon's too.
I think that's fair to say. It often gets overlooked.
Okay, so let's get into the film itself. At its core, you have these 3 separate stories, all dealing with mortality, with death. How do they start to weave together?
Well, first up is Marie. She's played by Cécile de France, a successful TV host in France. She's on vacation in Thailand, and she gets caught in the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. It's a massive event in the film.
Right, a near-death experience.
Exactly, a profound one. She sees something, and it completely turns her life upside down. Her relationship fails, her career hits the skids.
And she gets obsessed with it.
Yeah, she needs to understand what happened, what she saw. So she ends up writing this book, looking into scientific research about life after death.
Okay, that's Marie. Then story number 2.
Story 2 takes us to London. We meet these 12-year-old twins, Jason and Marcus. Their home life is pretty rough. Their mother struggles with addiction.
Oh, wow.
And then just tragedy strikes. Jason dies in an accident. Marcus is understandably completely devastated.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It is. And he ends up in foster care. And his grief just fuels this desperate, almost obsessive need to somehow connect with Jason again, to talk to the dead.
A heavy storyline. And the third?
The third is George, Matt Damon's character. He's in San Francisco, kind of a recluse, and he's a psychic.
Okay, so he can communicate with the dead.
He can, but here's the thing. He sees it as a curse, a burden. He hates it.
Really? Why?
Well, he regrets ever taking money for readings, feels it exploited people maybe, and he just wants a normal life, wants to leave it all behind. But, his brother, other people, they keep pushing him to use this ability.
That's fascinating, the reluctant psychic. And Damon plays that conflict well.
Oh, I think he's fantastic. He really nails that sense of weariness, the internal struggle. It's not showy, which fits Eastwood's style, but you feel the weight on him.
Yeah, that internal conflict, the burden of a gift you don't want, it's a powerful idea.
Definitely. It's less about the psychic ability itself and more about the human cost, maybe.
So how do these 3 threads, Marie's search for answers, Marcus's grief, George's reluctance, how do they finally converge?
Well, inevitably, Marie and Marcus both end up seeking out George, and it's really Marcus who acts as the key plot device here. He's desperate for a reading, desperate to connect with Jason. And through that interaction with George, it sort of opens the door for George to eventually connect with Marie.
Ah, okay. So Marcus brings them together.
In a way, yes. It leads to George and Marie meeting and ultimately falling in love.
Right. And the film's take on the afterlife itself, it's not straightforward, is it?
Not at all. And that's what's so interesting. Roger Ebert, who, gave it 4 stars, he really loved it.
Yeah, I remember his review.
He pointed out how it explores the idea of an afterlife with tenderness, beauty, and a gentle tact. But crucially, he noted Eastwood manages to leave the big question unanswered. Is there really an afterlife? The film doesn't force an answer on you.
Which is maybe its greatest strength. It focuses more on the human need for connection, the search itself, rather than giving us neat answers.
Exactly. It's about the questioning, the grappling with loss and mystery.
And that approach makes even more sense when you look at the creators. Peter Morgan, the screenwriter famous for The Queen, he's actually said he doesn't believe in life after death.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, but he was fascinated by why people feel the need to believe in it, why we need that sense of continuity.
That definitely comes through. And Eastwood himself, his background is complex, too. Raised Protestant, explored different things, but apparently rejected organized religion. He had his own questions about spirituality around the time he made this.
So you have these two creators both kind of wrestling with the idea from different angles.
Right. And the film reflects that. It suggests maybe that death is more complex than just the end, but never preaches. It respects the uncertainty.
And the overall feeling of the film, the tone, it's quite unique.
It really is. It's got this sort of state of reverie, like a waking dream, but still very grounded. That's Eastwood's signature, isn't it? Understated, observational almost.
Yeah. Even the tsunami scene, while huge, isn't overly sensationalized in a typical Hollywood way. It feels more focused on Marie's internal experience.
Exactly. The emotional weight carries it. The characters aren't just rushing toward the climax. It feels more like they're searching for a solace, not necessarily solutions.
You could read it allegorically too, couldn't you? George as, like, natural talent struggling with itself, and Marie as the conscious, intellectual search after trauma.
Oh, absolutely. George representing that sort of intuitive, maybe even uncomfortable connection to the unknown, and Marie symbolizing the deliberate effort to understand after a life-altering shock.
And their meeting then becomes...
maybe a symbol of life finding a way, connection triumphing over the isolation of grief or the burden of the unknown, but still focused on actions in this world, you know?
Yeah, interesting layers. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for the film, was it? There were controversies.
No, definitely not. The biggest one by far was the use of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami.
Right, because it was a real devastating event.
Exactly. Hundreds of thousands died. And using that as essentially the catalyst for Marie's character arc,
Yeah.
a lot of people found that really uncomfortable, insensitive even.
Even if the depiction wasn't gratuitous.
Even so. Just the act of turning such immense real-world suffering into a plot point felt wrong to many. It caused quite a stir.
And didn't that have real-world consequences for the film's release in Japan?
It did, yeah. In 2011, not long after Japan suffered its own devastating tsunami, the film was actually pulled from Japanese cinemas early.
Wow.
Warner Bros. Put out a statement saying the tsunami scenes were, quote, not suitable at the time. Understandable, but it definitely highlights the sensitivity issue.
And some people think that controversy might have even affected its wider release, made the studio a bit cautious.
There's speculation about that, yeah. That the discomfort around the tsunami element might have contributed to it feeling a bit buried later on.
Okay, so that's the external controversy. What about internal criticisms of the film itself? The structure?
Well, another common critique focuses on Marcus's storyline, his arc.
The young boy in London.
Yeah. His backstory is incredibly powerful, heartbreaking, really. You could almost build a whole film around him. But in Hereafter, some critics felt his story ultimately just served as a mechanism to bring George and Ree together.
So he becomes more of a plot device than a fully resolved character?
That's the argument. That there's an emotional disconnection, maybe an uneven resolution for him. People noted a palpable imbalance between the three stories, with Marcus's perhaps getting short shrift in the end.
I can see that. It's tough weaving multiple narratives together perfectly.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Especially when dealing with such heavy themes.
So given these issues, the controversy, the structural criticisms, the mixed reviews, why do we still say it deserves this deep dive? Why is it an underrated gem?
Well, I think it comes back to what Ebert said. Its strength is in how it handles the uncertainty. It explores these huge, debatable ideas with real nuance.
It doesn't offer easy answers.
Exactly. It avoids being preachy. It respects the mystery. It's a thought-provoking exploration that really does go much further than mere entertainment.
It grapples with fear, grief, spirituality, but lets you sit with the questions.
Precisely. It doesn't tell you what to think, but it absolutely makes you feel and consider these things.
So for anyone interested in those themes, mortality, connection, maybe the possibility of something beyond?
It's still a must-watch, I'd say. It creates this unique atmosphere guided by that search for love, that weight of grief, and just this deep human curiosity about it all.
Okay, so recapping. Hereafter. Unique because it's Eastwood tackling fantasy, Matt Damon giving this really subtle, pained performance.
Right. Plus, it's empathetic, if challenging, look at life after death, and yeah, those unexpected controversies it kicked up.
That's a fascinating mix.
And maybe the biggest thing to take away from it, the thought to leave you with, is this. The film seems less about finding answers about the afterlife
Uh-huh.
and more about asking how the questions themselves, how that search for connection in the face of the unknown, shapes our lives, our relationships, right here and now.
What does that search reveal about us? About our need for understanding, for connection, when faced with the ultimate mystery?
Exactly. Something to definitely ponder.